box of random DVDs from some guy on eBay, and I'm gonna watch all of them. And today, I watched Furious 7. I do realize that I'm about to review a Fast and the Furious movie while putting makeup on, which is a Venn diagram that nobody falls into, but I'm gonna live my truth. And I'm drinking a beer to make the fellas more comfortable. You may be asking, Liz, have you even seen any Fast and Furious movies? And to that, I would say, how dare you assume that I would go into this blind? I'm a professional. I've seen the first one. Furious 7, directed by James Wan of Saw, centers a villain named Deckard Shaw, whose brother was mutilated by Dom's crew in one of the previous films. So he wants to get revenge, obviously. So Dom strikes a deal with Kurt Russell from the US government. The crew has to find a device called the God's Eye, which is an omniscient worldwide surveillance system. And in exchange, they can use the technology to find Deckard. Did this film come out in 2015, not long after Edward Snowden leaked classified NSA documents revealing the disturbing extent of global surveillance programs? Yeah. So does the crew feel a little uneasy about getting the God's Eye for the US government? No, they don't. And it feels kind of pointless anyway, because if they stay in one place for longer than 10 minutes, Deckard shows up anyway. Why do they need to track him? Whatever, I'll let it go. Furious 7 is widely considered one of the best, if not the best, film in the Fast and Furious franchise. It is, in the present tense, the 14th highest grossing film of all time. Not of that year, not of that decade, of all time. The thrilling, over-the-top action sequences probably contributed to this, but also this was the last film Paul Walker was in before his death. This has been brought up recently because of how Fez's character's been handled on Euphoria this season, but I don't really know how I feel about Paul Walker's character being left alive in this franchise. Is it in poor taste, or did it just catch me off guard? I don't know. I mean, Brian's arc in this film didn't feel very organic in general. Like, at the start of the film, he was bored with family life and missed the bullets.
He doesn't miss the girls, he doesn't miss the cars, he misses the bullets.
And then Dom tells him one time that family is important.
Everyone's looking for the thrill, but what's real is family. Hold on to that, Brian.
And he decides that he no longer misses the bullets. Not to mention that it doesn't really make sense for Brian to be completely absent if he's still around, given the emphasis of family in this franchise and the fact that he's married to Dom's sister. And it didn't allow for the characters to mourn on screen, which could have been cathartic for the audience. But then again, what the hell do I know? The whole film is escapism, so why not escape the harsh reality that Paul Walker is dead? A lot of people were moved by the conclusion of this film. And given the nature of these films and the nature of Paul Walker's death, the most likely way for him to die in this movie might be a little insensitive, especially because his brother stepped in to body double for him in scenes that he didn't get to shoot. Speaking of which, I thought that the fake Paul Walker scenes looked way better than I expected them to. Okay, I think it's worth noting that I did not feel like the target audience for this movie. There's a scene in which a character tells the crew that he's going to take them to a party, but not dressed like that.
So you can get us up there, right?
Sure, but not dressed like that.
Which feels like a segue to a try-on shopping montage in my mind. But instead it just hard cuts to them epically walking towards a windblower in their fancy clothes. Boo. Not to mention that there's these egregious Michael Bay style shots where nameless women's nameless bodies are thrown in there with no context or sensuality whatsoever. Like, I genuinely don't know what it's meant to communicate beyond look at this lady for half a second. Despite that, I have to admit that I was a little bit endeared by this film for two reasons. One is that despite the nameless bikini women, the named female characters have personality and agency. Like, Letty fights Ronda Rousey in this film. There's this whole conversation about how you can't assume that Ramsey isn't the most powerful programmer on the planet just because she's pretty. This is a very low bar. And I'm not making the claim that Furious 7 is a feminist masterpiece, but it's shocking how many similar films don't clear that bar. And the second is that it's sweet to me that one of the most testosterone-fueled franchises in the history of cinema is as sentimental and dramatic as a soap opera. The whole family thing has been heavily memed, but I do think it's kind of sweet. Letty has amnesia, but her memories come back when Dom is on the brink of death. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson delivers the line, "Daddy's gotta go to work," and then flexes a cast off of his arm. I don't think that the audience watching this film is necessarily walking away feeling like women are worthy allies and that they should be emotionally vulnerable with the people in their lives. But it's still nice that the movie sort of tries. Furious 7 gets a solid 2 stars. I appreciate that the film doesn't take itself too seriously, even if its audience might. What did you think of Furious 7? And which eBay movie should I watch next?